it was basically on the nanomaterials and its role in improving the cement matrix tailored for civil engineering applications.
Yes, sir.
So because there is a mixed audience, so what I thought is that let me explain about the basic material first, and then I'll go to the problem, and then what are the kind of research work which is helping in improving the quality of this matrix.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So we start with our first part, and in the first part we are going to discuss about the chemistry of cement.
Ji, sir.
And in the outline of my presentation, I'll tell you something about the inorganic cementing material, then chemistry of cementing materials, and setting and hardening process in cement, then application areas of cement matrix, and then what are the types of drawback which are associated with the cementitious matrix. Now, I'll be skipping some of the slides in between because wherever I'll feel that this is not required, I'll be skipping that. Cement is basically an inorganic material. It's a building material which is made by grinding calcined limestone and clay.
Sir, we can't hear you, sir.
Hello, sir. Seems some network issue. That is why we are unable to hear you clearly.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
sir.
Can you hear me?
Right now, okay, sir.
The same issue is coming again, and I am joining from the other computer, but the only problem is that I have to transfer my PPT from there to here.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So it is going to take few minutes again.
Yes, sir.
There is some problem that the Cisco software is conflicting with my system, and because of conflict, it is shutting down immediately.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm
Yes.
joining with another computer. So please give me 2 minutes.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Can you see my PPT now? Hello?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yes, sir.
It's visible. I am sorry for this interruption again.
Okay, okay. Sir.
I have shifted to another computer now. So I was talking about the chemistry of cementing material. And in the chemistry of cementing material, I told you that cement is a material which is basically used for binding the two materials. And there are many kinds of cementing material known. One of the most common cementing material is called the hydraulic cementing material, which sets into hard material on addition of water. And there is another kind of cementing material which is called non-hydraulic cementing material, where there is no need of adding any water to convert it into hard material. There are some examples of non-hydraulic cementing material. For example, you have gypsum, you have plaster of Paris, you have Portland cement, you have lime. See, these are all inorganic cementing material, and out of them, the Portland cement is a material which is a hydraulic cementing material. That means if you add water to it, then it converts into a hard material. Now, ordinary Portland cement or OPC is one of the most widely used construction material worldwide. And the cement constitutes most of the civil infrastructures like buildings, dams, bridges, roads, tunnels, highways, railways, railway track, airport. So I will try to just visualize you that this is a very important material in the infrastructure industry these days. And therefore, there is a chance of improvement of the quality and removal of the drawbacks present in this material. And by this, we can contribute a lot to the society. If you look into the timeline, you will find that research was done by Louis Vicat on hydraulic binders in 1812. And later, it was the Portland cement which was invented by Joseph Asprin in 1824. That means it is a more than 150-year-old material which we are using. Now, in the chemical engineering, the process was given by Isaac Johnson in 1838. And in 1875, the standards of cement were decided. And since then, we are using this material. We are making the improvement in the quality of this material. As I told you that in civil engineering structures, it is used for various applications. For example, buildings, bridges, tanks, dams, lamp posts. You can have telephone posts. You can have railway sleepers, roads, cement pipes. Many applications are there world over in various areas. I'll visualize them through some pictures also. For anyone who is not conversant with the cement application in civil engineering, for them, I would like to let you know that the cement is used basically in three different ways. One, cement is used as a mortar, and mortar is nothing but a mixture of cement and sand with water. What you do use for the plastering purpose. The second, cement is used in a concrete where we have cement, sand, and the coarse aggregate. We can say that stones-like material is also added. Then we say that this matrix is known as concrete. But when we are using the steel bars or other reinforcing material in between the concrete, then it is called reinforced cement concrete. So I'll tell you the basic and fundamental reactions. For example, you know that lime is a material, CaO is a material which is obtained by heating calcium carbonate. And there is a process known as slacking of lime. When you add some amount of water to the lime, ultimately a reaction takes place where the calcium hydroxide is formed. A large amount of energy is released, that is 15.9 kilocalorie is released. And when this process happens, then there is a evolution of considerable amount of heat which is shown in this reaction. Then expansion in volume. The material will expand in volume by 2 to 2.5 times. Then development of some hissing sound comes due to conversion of water into steam and due to breaking of the calcium oxide to the extremely fine powder. That is what you have all seen, that when you do the whitewash in your house, bring some lime, put it in the bucket, you will find that hissing sound is coming and bucket become hot. So these are some basic chemical reactions which are taking place. Now, setting of the inorganic cementing material, the setting of lime, you see, lime is a non-hydraulic cementing material. In older days, whenever we used to lay our foundations, we put some lime. We are not adding any water. So what happens? The lime automatically absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and it converts into calcium carbonate. That is limestone. And this limestone is a very hard material. So as the limestone formation will take place in the foundations, ultimately the foundation will become harder and harder and you will find that your material will become stronger and stronger. There are various varieties of inorganic cementing material known. You must be knowing only one kind of cement, but there are various varieties. Varieties starts from pozzolanic cement, natural cement, Portland cement, high alumina cement, super sulfate cement, and special cement. We are focusing on the maximum applied type of cement, that is Portland cement, which is further divided into various categories where white road Portland cement is there, rapid hardening Portland cement is there, extra rapid hardening Portland cement is there, ordinary Portland cement is there. And in most of the constructions, it is the ordinary Portland cement which is used in the larger scale. This is the compositional analysis of Portland cement, where you'll find that it contains about 60 to 66% of calcium oxide, silica is 17 to 25%, alumina is 3 to 8%, and this is a you can say range here. And this is what is the compositional analysis of Indian Portland cement, where the calcium oxide is found 64.86. Then you have silica, that is 23, alumina is 5.97, iron oxide is 2.19, and magnesium oxide is about 1%, and so on and so forth. Average composition of the Portland cement, if you see the Portland cement's composition, you will find there are 4 kinds of silicate, rather we'll say the 5 kinds of silicates, and these silicates are tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, tricalcium aluminate, and tetracalcium aluminoferrite. Beside that, a small proportion of some other chemicals are also found in cement, and the formulas are given here. The average percentage is given here, and how much time they take in setting is also given in the last column. If you look into the application, the use of cement and production of cement worldwide, you'll find that there is about 4.1 billion tons of cement produced, out of which China itself alone produces 53%. India is producing only 8%, and the growth of this is again increasing day by day. With time, with years, the percentage of cement which is required is increasing day by day. That means it is related to the infrastructure development of any country, because this is the basic material. Now, these are some of the structures world over where cement has been used. I'll not discuss about them, but I'll discuss about application of cement worldwide, in which I'll take some examples of our own country, where Tehri, you must be knowing, Tehri is having a very big dam. And when the construction started in somewhere in 1965, it was completed in 2005. Tons and tons of cement was used in this infrastructure. To develop one particular dam, you require tons and tons of cement at various places. So the quality of cement plays a very important role here, because it is in touch with water, and water can create some kind of problem in the cement, which we'll discuss later. I'll show you, this is the old town of Tehri, where a big dam was constructed and entire city was dipped inside water, and now the people were replaced from there and they are shifted to some other place. You can see one bridge is visible here, and this river is Bhagirathi river, where
Sir, you're not audible, sir.
Sir, I think there is some problem in voice connection. Sir, we are not able to hear you, sir. Participants, the resource person is getting once again connected. Kindly be online, please.
Okay, sir.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now visible.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Sound is also clear now.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Anyway, so I was talking about that the entire Tehri city was displaced to some other place where a replica of the same city was made by just selecting some of the monuments which were there in the old city, because Tehri was a kingdom. There was a king here in Tehri city. So this is what is a replica of the Ghantaghar of Tehri was made at a new city. So huge amount of cement was used, but that is what I am saying. This is another interesting example where there is in Uttarakhand, there is a town known as Uttarkashi. I don't know how many of you know about this town. It is basically situated at the base of a hill, and this hill is started sliding suddenly. some time back, maybe a few years back it happened. And because of that, huge infrastructure damage was there. See, all this material which was sliding was going to the houses. So all these houses were replaced from here immediately. And many of the hotels, they all damaged. And then the government has given a lot of money so that this can be stopped. So this cement structure has been created, and this is what is known as stabilization in rock is done by rock bolting and cable anchoring, where the cement is used in tons and tons amount. So this has ultimately stopped this process, and then the city can be saved. And these are the tunnels. These days, you know that the entire country's infrastructure is developing very fast, where the number of tunnels they are under construction. High-speed train is under constructions. The high-speed train tracks, they are also under construction because you require a huge amount of RCC made, cement made these blocks, these sleepers are required for the high-speed trains. And this is what is a Palm Island in the Dubai. And you know that this Palm Island is artificially created on the sea where the houses has been made. And the bungalows are made in the Palm Island in Dubai. So there also you can see that huge amount of the cement is used. Now I'll directly go into the okay, I'll tell you that the cement is made basically by the two raw materials. One is known as calcareous material, the other one is known as argillaneous material. Argillaneous material, it provides silica and alumina and iron oxide, whereas calcareous material, it provides basically you the silica, SiO2. So, no, I'm sorry, this is calcium oxide. Calcareous material is providing calcium oxide, whereas argillaneous material, there's some mistake here, I'm sorry. So this provides you calcium oxide, and then this provides you three things, that is SiO2, Fe2O3, and Al2O3. Now, each of these components, they are having some role in cement. Silica provides, imparts strength. Alumina makes the cement setting very hard, rapid setting. Then calcium sulfate, it enhances the initial setting time of the cement. Iron oxide provides the color and strength and hardness. Sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide provides soundness to the cement. I'll tell you what is soundness of the cement. The soundness of a cement is said to be, cement is said to be sound if it produces very small change in the volume on hydration. Soundness is related to the presence of excess amount of crystalline magnesia. If more magnesium oxide is present in the raw material, then this kind of cement will be unsound. That means they will expand, and if the cement will expand, then it will develop the crack. So you need to have some control over the raw material, which should contain less amount of magnesium oxide within the limit. So specific size test piece is put into hot water for 3 to 4 hours or 3 to 5 hours, and the expansion of the test piece is measured. That is what is the way how to determine the soundness of the cement. So this is manufacturing process. In the manufacturing, you know, cement is manufactured in the rotary kiln, where the mixing, burning, and grinding, three processes are done, and there are dry process and wet process. In the dry process, you need not have to wash the raw material, but in the wet process, we wash the raw material, by which the impurities are removed. They are filled in the hoppers, and then they are mixed in a ratio of 25 to 75. That means 75% of calcium carbonate is used, because lime is one of the raw material of the cement. The other raw material is your clay, which is argillaneous material, which is providing you silica, alumina, and iron oxide. So they are mixed in a proportion of 25 to 75. This paste is fed inside the rotary kiln. And there are three zones in the rotary kiln, where the moderate temperature, average temperature, and maximum temperature are there. As a result of chemical reactions, the cement in this rotary kiln is converted into the clinkers, and the clinkers are cooled down and they come out from the bottom. They are in the form of ball. They are crushed, mixed up with the gypsum, and then filled in the bags and sold in the market. So this is what is the basic manufacturing of the cement. You can understand that what exactly is this material now. Now, as I said, reaction during the calcination is, I'll not discuss about this, I'll discuss rather this, that as a result of reactions, you have to, you find that there are 5 silicates which are developed in the, you can say, clinkers. And these 5 silicates are tricalcium silicate, dicalcium silicate, dicalcium aluminate, tricalcium aluminate, and tetracalcium aluminoferrite. These are the formulas given in short here. C3S, tricalcium silicate, C2S, dicalcium silicate, C2A, dicalcium aluminate, C3A, tricalcium aluminate, and C4AF is tetracalcium aluminoferrite. And these are the mineral names of these particular chemicals. So basically cement is containing 5 types of silicates in it. So what happens? Nobody has never realized that what happens when we are adding water to it. Why it converts into so hard material and it is so useful material. Basically what happens, the cooled clinkers, they are mixed with 2 to 3% of gypsum and finally powdered. This is why this is done. This is done because there is a tricalcium aluminate present. This is what we have discussed. Tricalcium aluminate we have just discussed. Tricalcium aluminate is one of the components. This component is very dangerous because if you keep your cement outside in the atmosphere, it absorbs the moisture and it converts into hard material. So if inside the bag it is converted into hard, it is useless material then. You can't use it again. So therefore, what we do is that we mix up 2 to 3% of gypsum with the clinkers, and by this what happens, tricalcium aluminate, it reacts with the gypsum and it forms tricalcium sulfoaluminate. So what happens by this? Tricalcium sulfoaluminate is formed, which is regarded, which retards the setting of this particular material. So this material is converted by gypsum into a low setting material, because if it is kept as such there, then the material will set into a hard material in the bag itself. So by adding gypsum to the clinkers, part setting tricalcium aluminate get converted into tricalcium sulfoaluminate. Now this try to understand that what happens, how exactly this material is converted into hard material. Setting and stiffening of the original cement paste into solid state is called setting and hardening. So hardening is the development of strength due to hydration reactions of the compounds of the cement. The compounds of the cement, we all know that there are 5 types of silicates present in the cement. So mainly calcium silicates, also calcium aluminates and aluminoferrite, they react with water, and this is called the hydraulic hardening process. Where tricalcium silicate, it's a material which hydrates rapidly. When water is added, it hydrates, it takes up water and contributes to the early strength of the cement. Dicalcium silicate, it hydrates comparatively slowly and it contributes to the strength in the later stage. In the cement, it contributes the strength in the later stage. Similarly, tricalcium aluminate, it hydrates very rapidly and it contributes to the early development, early strength development. And tetracalcium aluminoferrite contributes to the little to the strength. Now, what is initial setting and what is final setting? The setting can be divided into initial and final. So initially what happens, when we add water to the cement, it converts into a paste or mixture which can be molded in any shape, and initial setting of cement, it occurs in 30 minutes time. Once the initial setting is over, you cannot break this mold and convert it into another shape. And final setting means it takes place after some hours of mixing of the cement with water. It cannot be molded to other shapes after the final setting is over. When the final setting is over, you cannot use or reuse that material and give another shape. So a standard needle is used to penetrate into the sample of the cement to find out whether the initial setting is over or not, or how much is the initial setting time, how much is the final setting time. The setting and hardening, setting and hardening are as a result of 2 kinds of reactions. One is called hydration reactions. The other one is called hydrolysis reactions. The hydration reactions are the chemical reactions in which the major compounds in cement forms chemical bonds with water molecule and become hydrates or hydration products. And the other one is hydrolysis, dissociation of silicate and aluminates in presence of water is called the hydrolysis reaction. So these both kind of reactions are responsible for the setting and hardening of the reactions. So hydration reaction, the first one is that dicalcium silicate is taking water and converting into hydrated form within 7 to 28 days. It continues from 7 to 28 days time. So that means that curing means when you add water to the cement, it keeps on converting this particular dicalcium silicate into hydrated form, and this is contributing to the strength of the material. That is why wetting of the cement for a longer time after use is necessary. Similarly, tricalcium aluminate is hydrating and converting into hydrated form within 24 hours. So some materials hydrate fast, some material hydrate slowly. So all these contributes to the strength of the cement altogether. Similarly, you have calcium aluminate, tricalcium aluminate, which also hydrates and reacts, ultimately producing some other products. So there are various kind of reactions which will again be discussed in the portion later stages. And you can see from the simple particles, it is converting into a complex, you can say, mixture where you can see that on the hydration, you will find that it becomes complex and complex, and there is a kind of intermixing of the crystalline materials starts forming inside the cement, and various kind of crystal structures you can say they form a kind of web, and ultimately they are converting into hard matrix. This is what is shown here, that ettringite consists of a long crystals that are only stable in solution with gypsum. They does not contribute to the strength of the cement, and once the gypsum is used, ettringite become unstable to react with the remaining tricalcium aluminate, forming monosulfate aluminate hydrate crystals. So there are various kind of crystals. I'll not go into the complex of it, but it starts with the formation of calcium silicate hydrate, which is basically a gel-like structure. Then you have calcium hydroxide, which is basically a precipitate. So there are some crystal changes, some silicates are formed, some kind of hydroxide precipitates are formed, and in this way the mixture starts becoming complex and complex. Now here in this particular diagram, it is shown that how exactly these reactions are starting and what exactly is happening. You can see up to 30 minutes nothing is happening, and after you can see uh, uh, more than half an hour time, you start seeing the reactions to happen, where you will find that immediately you other structures are lying over it. It is also possible that sheet is there, the tubular material is passing through it and vertically hanging on is, or it may be rolling on the seat. So there are all possibilities. Because of this, we expect that some kind of improvement in properties is going to come. I will request, let me know that how much time will be given to me to complete.
Sir, we have to complete by 4 o'clock, but because of the interruptions, we can prolong, sir. No problem. You can complete it.
Okay, then thank you. Then I can just explain because
Sure, sir.
interesting part is coming now.
Okay, sir.
That admixtures, I'll tell you about admixtures. In cement, we use lot many admixtures. What are admixtures? Admixtures are basically auxiliary chemicals. They are helping chemicals. Other than cement, water and sand, they are helping chemicals, and uh, they are added in very small amount, and they are giving us better and better properties. And purpose is to modify the fresh properties, increase the workability without increasing the water cement ratio, or decrease the water content, at the same time the workability. In case of concrete, we will have more strength, retard or accelerate the time of initial setting. So all these things are happening by adding the admixtures. Now I'll go to the admixtures. We have mineral admixtures. The type of admixtures, we have mineral admixtures, finely ground solid materials, like you have blast furnace slag, then we have fly ash, then we have silica fume. These days we are adding these materials because the graph which I have shown to you earlier, just go to that graph so that you can at least, yeah, this is what is the graph where you can see that conventional material, high performance material, we are adding silica fumes, we are adding finely ground mineral additives, we are adding fly ash, we are adding some metakaolin. So some kind of the material which are obtained by burning the you can say ores in the blast furnace or other places. Those materials which are waste material of the you can say mineral and mineral industry, that can be used, grinded and mixed up here, because they are going to contribute to the strength. So blast furnace slag, fly ash, silica fumes, they all are used as a admixture in the cement. So if you add these materials, what is going to happen? The property is going to increase. On the other side, the cost is going to reduce, because the material quality is going to improve, and you can replace some amount of the cement. It improves workability as well as the finishability of the freshly laid concrete. Finishability ability is also increased. So incorporated in large amount, it reduces the cost of construction. If you add in large amount, then it can reduce the cost of construction. So it is a good thing that by admixture we can reduce the quality, reduce the cost, but on the other side we can improve the quality. So chemical or inorganic or organic admixtures, we have two kind of admixtures. One is mineral admixtures and one are chemical and organic admixtures. So mineral admixtures we have already discussed. Now we have the chemical admixtures like super plasticizers. We have lot many chemicals which are known as super plasticizer, which are basically surfactants, and they are called the chemical admixtures, which we equally use in our cement matrix. Now chemical admixtures, what are they? They are polycarboxylate superplasticizer, PCE based superplasticizer. PCE superplasticizers were introduced in 1980 and comprising the comb-like, they are having comb-like structure, comb-like shape. Then they have some backbone, they have some carboxylic groups, they have some secondary chain, which you can see from this picture itself. Now what happens? Polycarboxylate based superplasticizer, they have some purpose. Why they are added in cement matrix? They are having, they create higher compaction. Compaction means if you make the material more compact, its porosity will reduce. So one, they are helping here. The other, strength with less water. We have to add less amount of water and we get better strength. The another one is fluidity or workability. Fluidity and workability means if you add the superplasticizers in cement while using it, while making it, then workability improves. That means you can easily put your material in any shape or any place. The last but not least, what we have observed in our study that these materials also help in dispersion of the nanomaterial in cement matrix, which is the advantage. And this is what the kind of admixtures. You can see that 30% of cement can be replaced with the fly ash, with the equally good property of cement matrix. But if you increase the percentage of the fly ash, definitely the property will reduce. But there are some disadvantages of using the fly ash also in the cement matrix. But on the other side, the advantage is that you are using the waste material. It is, you are making the cement sustainable. You are reducing the cement content. That means you are reducing the environmental burden. So global carbon dioxide, which is emitted from cement production, can be reduced by this. And there are many other advantages of this. I will not discuss them in detail. So fly ash as a supplementary cementitious material. The supplementary cementitious materials are material that contribute to the property of hardened concrete through pozzolanic activities. How? You will just see how exactly they are helping us. Fly ash is a pozzolanic material that possesses little or no cementitious property. If it happens like this, then we can use only fly ash as a cement. No, it is not having any property. But when we add some amount of it in the cement, it is going to add some kind of the property improvement in the cement properties. So fly ash basically reacts with the calcium hydroxide generated during the cement hydration to form the compound having cementitious property. See, we told that calcium hydroxide is not good for us because it will be attacked by the sulfate and increase the porosity of the material. So what happens? This is what we have already discussed, that when tricalcium silicate reacts with water, then calcium silicate hydrate is formed, and other than that, calcium hydroxide is formed. But when we use fly ash with the cement, what happens? The calcium hydroxide formed can react with this pozzolanic material or silica of this pozzolanic material and convert this calcium hydroxide also into calcium silicate hydrate gel, which is giving you strength properties. So that means This material, which was otherwise attacked by sulfate, is now converted into calcium sulfate hydrate gel by the use of pozzolanic material or by the use of the fly ash material, which is a basically pozzolanic material containing silica and some other things. I think we'll see later stages. Then what happens by advantage is by adding this smooth and finish and shape, which we have discussed earlier also. This improves the finish of the material. Don't cause extra load on the structure. Fly ash is a lightweight material, so it is not creating any kind of extra load on the in the material. So thermal and electrical conductivity is lower. It is good that by using pozzolanic material, thermal conductivity is reducing. Our building will remain cool. Provide soundness insulation. It also provides soundness insulation. That is also good. So durable and sustainable, economical as reduce the cost of construction. The slow strength enhancement at early curing stage curing gauges in comparison to the copper slag or silica fume or the source. Fly ash is a to some extent it is good material. So 30% has been used. More than 30% is going to create the problem. So in the present investigation, what we have done in our laboratory, we have seen that how exactly the use of CNT and GEO in the cementitious matrix, they can give you some kind of betterment in the property. And we have compared that CNT or GEO we have also used in the hybrid form, and they have been used in cement mortar as well as fly ash based cement mortar. That means some of the cement is replaced by the fly ash. We have done both these studies. I'll be skipping some of the results because lot many results are there, and we'll be moving a little quick now. So utilization of the fly ash can lead to development of sustainability and eco-friendly constructions based materials. The low cost fly ash based construction material in the front stage, it is the front stage agenda of the government across the world, and it is also it is helpful in low cost housing and can reach to the common man. The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and the smart city needs some kind of material which is less costly with the better properties. So this is what is the part of the work what we have done. We have synthesized the graphene oxide. How the graphene oxide was synthesized? It is used, the Hammer method is used. This is the steps involved in the Hammer method to convert the graphene into graphene oxide. Then we have functionalized the pure multi-wall carbon nanotube. These are the steps involved in the conversion of the pure CNT into the functionalized CNT. And these are the diagrams shown how exactly it was done. Then ultimately their dispersion was done with the help of ultrasonicators. And the ultrasonication was done, the sample that is 0.05 gram per liter, it was taken in 100 milliliter beaker and they were sonicated for 15 minutes at an amplitude. Amplitude was changed. 20, 40, 60 and 80 was amplitude kept. And then again, the UV visible spectra of each sample was taken as a measure of dispersion at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 24 hours. The dispersion of the hybrid carbon nanomaterial was also seen, where the two carbon nanomaterial, that is graphene oxide and CNT, they were mixed in different ratios, and ultimately their dispersion was seen in the water as a solvent. Wherever we have made the hybrid carbon nanomaterial, equal amount of the two carbon-based nanomaterials they were used. And for making the mortar samples, which were tested later stage, the OPC which was used was 843. The fly ash which was used was taken from a thermal power plant in Punjab state of India. Then the sand was taken from the Tamin, and there is a Tamil Nadu Mineral Limited company is there, which sells the Indian standard sand of grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Super plasticizers were two super plasticizers were used in this study are Auramix 300 and Masters Millennium, and they were procured from BASF, and the other company was Fosroc Chemicals Limited. These are the company from where the super plasticizers were procured. Water was tap water and potable water. Then nanomaterials was used in different dosages. In hybrid carbon nanomaterials, the ratio was kept 1:1. And this is what you can see, what is OPC composition and what is fly ash composition. Fly ash normally contains larger proportion of silicon, SiO2, and again alumina, 30.5% of alumina is there. So whatever material is there in cement and fly ash, they are matching here to some extent. So these two materials are there in the high proportion. This is the pictures of the 2-3 types of the sand, which is grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. They are added in equal proportion. This is the methodology of fabrication of the composite material. 1:3 of cement and sand was used, mixed together, and then carbon nanotube and hybrid carbon nanotubes. Carbon nanotube and hybrid carbon nanotube, they were dispersed using PCE-based superplasticizer in water by sonication methods. The cement or blend and cement, they were mixed in 1:3 ratio. When the paste of this material was made, it is filled in the standard mold of 70.6 millimeter cube. It was put on the vibration table, and then these cubes were made, and these cubes are standard cubes. The vibration of the table was at 2600 RPM. These cubes, after making, the mold was opened after 1 day, and they were placed inside the curing tank in the water at 27 degrees centigrade. And for electrical conductivity, the copper plates were placed, 4 copper plates were placed at equal distance, and this was the electrical conductivity was determined by the 4-probe method. These are the kind of mixed designs which were prepared. If you understand this, you can understand the result very easily. And this table itself is explaining that how many types of carbon nanocomposite materials we have prepared. It started with control cement. Control cement means where there is no carbon nanomaterial was used. Only cement, sand, and water and plasticizer, super plasticizer was added. This is called control sample, so that we can get that is there any change taking place in the property of this material. Then in the second material, we have used a graphene oxide, and we have changed the graphene oxide percentage from 0.02 to 0.04 to 0.08 to 0.16. You see, cement is same, sand is same. Only thing is third component, that is the graphene oxide, which is used at various proportions. Here, the usual super plasticizer was used, and there is some formula for using this. If the quantity increases, we increase the quantity of super plasticizer also. Similarly, in the another case, we have not used GEO, but we have used functionalized carbon nanotube and made carbon nanocomposites of it. So this is again what we have used is cement quantity is same, sand quantity is same. We have not used GEO here. We have used functionalized carbon nanotube here, and the plasticizer was as usual. In the last case, we have made the hybrid carbon nanomaterial where we mixed this and this GEO and CNT together in a ratio of 1:1, and they are all added in 0.02, 0.04, 0.08, and 0.16%. And here it is indicated that both of them are added in equal proportion. So these are the type of samples we have prepared for testing. We have also studied some of the samples where we have replaced some amount of cement with fly ash. You see, here you can see we have, instead of earlier it was 9.60. Hello. Hello.
We request all the participants to kindly mute your microphones, please.
Is there any question from your side or?
No, sir. No, sir. I think there's somebody talking
Okay.
from the participants.
Okay. So in the other case, you can see we have replaced some amount of